Modern pharmacovigilance relies entirely on computerized systems to function. Software platforms like Oracle Argus or Ariscad serve as the operational backbone for global drug safety. These systems manage massive workloads. They process individual case safety reports, hunt down adverse event signals in complex datasets, and compile periodic benefit risk evaluation reports. The tolerance for error in these workflows is zero. If data drops or corrupts during processing, adverse event signals get delayed, directly compromising patient protection. Health authorities recognize this risk. A single failure in data integrity within a safety system can trigger immediate regulatory enforcement, warning letters, and facility inspections. To prevent these failures, the industry spent decades relying on a single, rigorous methodology, computer system validation, or CSV. CSV successfully kept systems stable, but the methodology has reached a breaking point. The sheer volume of documentation required to validate a system now actively impedes the rollout of necessary software updates. Traditional CSV operates on a rigid waterfall-style lifecycle. Engineering and QA teams must map out installation, operational, and performance qualifications in a highly sequential order. The driving philosophy is compliance verification. The objective is to generate exhaustive paper evidence, proving that the software does exactly what it is intended to do under all circumstances. In practice, this results in massive traceability matrices and thousands of pages of documentation for even minor software deployments. Every single software function requires comprehensive scripted testing. A core safety algorithm is subjected to the exact same testing rigor as a simple font color change on a user dashboard. Treating every feature with identical scrutiny creates a massive misallocation of resources. Validation teams spend hundreds of hours testing low-impact UI elements instead of isolating the features that pose actual risks to patient safety. This document everything culture acts as a drag coefficient on technical innovation. It forces companies to delay vital life-saving software upgrades simply to clear the administrative paperwork. Recognizing this bottleneck, the FDA formalized a modernized methodology with its 2026 updated guidance on computer software assurance, or CSA. CSA is a risk-based, critical thinking-driven evolution of quality assurance. It does not replace validation. It relies on smarter methodology to achieve a validated state. The framework shifts the ultimate goal from merely proving regulatory compliance on paper to building functional confidence in the software's intended use. Looking at the structural differences, traditional CSV is entirely documentation-driven. CSA is assurance-focused. Instead of relying on heavy traceability matrices to prove a point, CSA advocates for lean, fit-for-purpose evidence that leverages existing supplier data. Automated coding of MedDraw terms, seriousness assessments, and algorithmic signal detection all fall into this high-risk bucket. If a signal detection algorithm misfires, it could miss a critical safety issue. If an electronic reporting gateway fails, submissions to Eurovigilance or FAIRS are corrupted. The high stakes here justify the heavy testing, but the vast majority of software features do not touch the data directly. These are the lower risk functions, and this is where CSA efficiencies activate. Routine administrative reporting, dashboard visualizations, and user interface customizations have minimal impact on data integrity. For these elements, exhaustive scripted validation is a waste of time. Exploratory testing and pre-existing vendor evidence are entirely sufficient to assure their functionality. By splitting the system this way, organizations reserve their deep technical analysis and critical thinking for the code that actually determines patient outcomes. This risk-based methodology still has to exist within strict regulatory frameworks. In the U.S., 21 CFR Part 11 remains the definitive rule for electronic records and signatures. CSA explicitly supports Part 11 requirements. It demands rigorous, scripted testing for closed system controls, electronic signatures, and secure time-stamped audit trails, because those core features are inherently high risk. To translate these regulations into technical reality, the industry relies on GAMP 5, second edition, which categorizes software complexity on a scale from 1 to 5. GAMP 5 operates in lockstep with CSA, specifically encouraging teams to leverage supplier documentation and vendor qualification to reduce redundant internal testing. But operating globally means crossing jurisdictions. In the European Union, computerized systems must be detailed in the Pharmacovigilance System master file, specifically within Annex D. Annex D is a strict legal obligation under EU directives. It requires a detailed overview of the extent of computerization, mapping the location, functionality, and validation status of every database. The mechanical challenge is global harmonization. Inspectors in the EU expect clear validation evidence, which can seem at odds with the FDA's leaner CSA guidance. To bridge this gap, global organizations integrate the qualitative evidence gathered during CSA activities directly into the PSMF. By mapping risk-based testing results to the functional requirements of Annex D, teams can maintain a state of control that satisfies both jurisdictions. Transitioning a global QA department from CSV to CSA requires overcoming significant cultural inertia. Teams are often deeply conditioned to equate documentation volume with audit readiness and fear that leaner records will be viewed as a lapse in quality. Overcoming this requires a strict tactical roadmap. Step 1. Conduct process risk assessments at the very beginning of the project to map out which features actually impact safety. Step 2. Apply critical thinking to the resulting map. Look at the risk profile and decide exactly where scripted testing is mandatory and where exploratory testing is adequate. Step 3. Offload the assurance burden for commercial off-the-shelf software by maximizing vendor qualification audits and relying on existing GAMP5 supplier documentation. Step 4. Maintain a clear line of sight. Traceability still matters. You must link user requirements directly back to your chosen assurance activities. Step 5. Ensure cross-border compliance by continuously integrating this leaner CSA evidence into your Annex D summaries for European regulators. And Step 6. Lock down data integrity. Double-check that all 21 CFR Part 11 controls, especially your audit trails, are subjected to maximum scrutiny. Executing this roadmap strips away friction, creating the bandwidth to validate and deploy next-generation tools like cloud-based safety databases and AI-driven signal detection networks. Organizations that successfully execute this shift report a 30 to 50% reduction in total validation effort for non-critical software features. By abandoning the idea that all code needs identical testing, pharmacovigilance teams reclaim their time. The systems become assurance-driven and intensely patient-centered, allowing your professionals to focus strictly on the science of drug safety.